now on to the next feature address number 2 on digital transformation, evolving the legal profession. And we're going to have Naima come back to moderate for us. And we'll also hear specifically from Ruggles. He will lead the discussion on this. He will actually be our featured speaker. Ruggles, if you're ready, you can go ahead. Wonderful.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes. So again, good morning all. And I've tried to press ahead as quickly as possible. We have a few slides to cover, but we focus in this session on digital transformation, evolving the profession. Let's move next. Yes. So in examining this issue and to try to get as most as possible from this session, I started with pre-COVID and looking at the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, for example. And just pre-COVID, we had physical court hearings at all levels of the court. The High Court, the Magistrates Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. In our Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, it is a single court that serves 9 jurisdictions throughout the region. And what the court is an itinerary court. It moves from country to country every other week. And of course, they had to face the challenges of travel with our only airline at the time. And we know all the challenges associated with travel. Cost of hotel accommodations, delays. You have pre-COVID lawyers journeying to court, several adjournments, long waiting time for matters to be heard, single practitioners unable to maneuver between different physical courts, leading to many adjournments. So throughout the Caribbean, you have single practitioners, and somebody who is attending the High Court cannot be physically elsewhere, cannot attend another magistrate's court or another high court, or if you're before the Court of Appeal, you can't attend before the High Court because it's not physically possible to be 2 places at the same time. And we had the physical filing and serving of documents, preparation of huge bundles, especially for the Court of Appeal, especially when matters were coming before the High Court for trial. Then you have the paper and binding costs, significant injection of time and administrative costs for the preparation of bundles. Next. So what was the effect of those traditional, what I call pre-COVID, not too long ago, operations? Costly logistics. For example, with the prisoners attending the magistrates' court throughout the country, they may have several courts to service on a given day. Prisoners on remand. Transportation, food, security. The added expenses just to take a prisoner to court. You have time wasting, long list, and people just physically waiting for the matter to come around. In fact, you spend more time in court waiting on your matter to be heard rather than arguing your matter. This, of course, led to delays and inefficiency, difficulty accessing justice, greater expense for lawyers and clients. And I make the point for lawyers too, because in these depressed economies, what you find that if a lawyer has to attend a matter in a rural court, for example, and it's adjourned 10, 15 times, afterwards, after a while, you begin to pay for that matter. Actually, you are paying for that matter because your as they say, stock in trade is your time. And you, of course, had a growing backlog of cases, and probably most impactful of all, in an adverse way, was the loss of confidence in the administration of justice. If you ask people, the man in the street, about the court, why they are reluctant to go to court, it takes too long. Next. Just 1.5 years later, October 2021, and I'm looking here specifically at the Eastern Caribbean, 1.5 years later with COVID, and galvanizing technology into action, technology that was always available, you have now virtual hearings for High Court civil matters, and that includes trials. The Court of Appeal has not been physically to any of these countries since the onset of COVID in March 2020. But they meet on schedule every other week, and they do all of this by Zoom. You also have virtual hearings for case management and sentencing in criminal matters. And because of the jury component to High Court criminal matters, then those matters have been adjourned, and many have been on the back burner since the onset of COVID, with just 1 or 2 getting done where appropriate physical space can be had in several of these countries in the Eastern Caribbean. But sentencing and case management of the criminal matters continued virtually. And of course, now you had, for the first time, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. I know they sat in the Bahamas before, but left the United Kingdom to come to the Bahamas. But one of the new features of COVID is that they have been hearing matters virtually. So for the first time, you do not need to travel to London to appear before the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. Next, we had e-filing, and we have, just go back a bit, the e-filing, you're no longer required to leave office to file documents. Only about 2 or 3 months ago, Grenada became part of the e-filing system of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. And only last week, Dominica and St. Vincent, the 2 other countries in the 9-member Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, eventually joined the system. So all courts, high courts, are now doing e-filing and matters before the Court of Appeal. Again, a significant development in Grenada that I just mentioned, because we have, we'll deal with it in a later slide, virtual hearings in the Magistrates Court for the first time as of last week. First country in the OECS to establish a virtual magistracy, which is intended to be a permanent feature, not just for COVID. And mediations continue. We have virtual mediations. And of course, lawyers now consult with clients virtually. Next slide. Right. Just an extract from Thompson here. Technology in law is the new norm. And that's an extract from their website in August 2021. Technology is redefining the legal field. Online research databases have replaced law books. Digital contracts have replaced physical copies, and countless other advancements have transformed the legal industry. These modern solutions help make a law firm's routine tasks easier and more efficient for everyone. since technology isn't going away, right? Technology in law, the new norm. It is not a temporary COVID thing, but it is expected to extend beyond COVID. And there was talk this morning about that popular word now, collaboration. And with collaboration, we can make it happen as the new norm. It is already happening, but we can develop it to its ultimate in ensuring greater efficiency in the administration of justice. Next. Well, legal technology, I'll just cut through these slides, but technological solutions or software, and that is used to simplify, optimize, aid, and automate the legal profession. Next. And we have some of the benefits of technology here: increasing productivity and efficiency, improving accuracy, fewer risk of human error, enhances virtual mobility, staff can work remotely, improves client care and satisfaction, billing and updating clients, streamlines mental energy. You focus more on the critical things. You don't have to think about physical billing, updating clients. All of these can be done through legal software, and of course, the technology performing generic tasks. Next. All right, well, this is just, again, the navigating technology. And what this slide is just intended to do is to show that it's not just about using the technology, but to get the members of the profession and the members of staff of our professional colleagues to learn the technology, because that has been the challenge over the years. Without COVID pushing us into it, we certainly would have been the same place, probably, or not too far advanced from where we were pre-COVID. So we need to learn to navigate the technology, and this is just a humorous but real incident happening in one of the US courts. Just play a bit.
I believe you have a filter turned on in the video settings. You might want to take
we're trying to, can you hear me, Judge?
I can hear you. I think it's a filter.
It is, and I don't know how to remove it. I've got my assistant here. She's trying to, but I'm prepared to go forward with it. I'm here live. I'm not a cat.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes, we can move on. Again, it just shows there are many incidents happening with technology over the last few months. People having their mute off when it should be on. People having their cameras off, and embarrassing moments created. And we know some examples in the United States. It's not just about moving to technology, but changing our own culture, re-educating ourselves so that we can effectively utilize the technology for the greater efficiency of the system. And just again, in the interest of time, I'll just highlight a bit of this quote. It is not the strongest of the species that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. Charles Darwin, of course, famous British author. And again, adaptability to change. It's not about strength, because here we are going through a unique period in our history, and we have to be prepared to adapt to change, because that can very well turn out our mental blocks to be the biggest challenge moving forward. And here we have just some of the areas identified with cloud-based technology, enabling access to files and client information at any location. Of course, there is the confidentiality and security aspects to that. Legal automation for software, legal research. And now we have artificial intelligence on the scene. AI researches cases for attorneys based on keywords and context provided. You type in the keywords and you get your cases in a matter of seconds. So let's move on. Next slide. I'm trying to cover as many of them as possible. This is just a quote from Sir Dennis Byron, his presentation at the last OGBA Summit in July 2021, where he delivered a presentation on the game-changing attorney. In fact, Bevel Wooden was also part of that panel. But just an extract, as Sir Dennis said, then the digital media has leveled the playing field, which permits even smaller or sole practitioners to identify their market and to find a point of difference. Next, I need not elaborate, but the reality is that persons who ran solo firms in the past and had the disadvantage of having to be different places at different times, doing physical research, and so now have the benefit of technology, the same technology that our colleagues have in different parts of the world. They are no further more advanced than us, whether they're based in the United States of America or the Caribbean. As we said, artificial intelligence is now the talk of the tongue, and that focuses on computer programming that learns and adapts, and is not a natural or legal person, but a robot or artificial person. It enables machines to operate independently of human intervention. Possesses characteristics which include reasoning, knowledge, planning, communication, and perception. So now we have talk in the future of an AI judge, a robot who can assimilate the information and generate a judgment. Next. Next slide. Sorry. Okay, there seemed to have been an issue there. Oh, okay. The Wi-Fi froze. So let me just, again, as we see the downside of technology, but hopefully we can get that back up as soon as possible. The next slide, and that's why it's always good to have backups. It was just a feature from the artificial, let's see. Okay. So let's see if we have the next slide. Okay. Yes, let's just have an extra.
Humans to have a better quality of life.
Humans often rely on gut feel or have confirmation bias in your decision making. As AI, we are designed to be rational and logical. We have algorithms, deal with lots of data and sophisticated analyses. So in many ways, we provide a systematic framework for humans to make better decisions.
Do you have emotions?
I do not have feelings in the same way you have feelings. It's sort of like how the moon reflects the light of the sun. The moon may not have any light of.
And how can you help humans to have a better quality of life?
Okay, we can move on. Right. So again, welcome to the world of AI. A robot engaging, being fair and reasonable, possesses no bias. And we have here concerns, some of the concerns surrounding AI. It says damage it may cause to the human race. Current laws cannot regulate the use, manufacturing, behavior, and responsibility of AI. You know, we find ourselves having to appeal the decisions of the AI judge. Next. Okay, and this is a name we'll be hearing more and more about in the region, in this part of our region, as we move to transform our operations into wholly technological operations. Professor Richard Susskind, and he is in fact scheduled to give a talk organized by CAJO sometime next week. So you'll hear more and more about him. But he is considered the foremost writer on the future of legal technology and the law and other professions. And it's an interesting quote here from him. Even in the world's most advanced jurisdictions, most civil disputes cost too much, take too long, the processes are antiquated, and the whole business is unintelligible to non-lawyers. To make matters worse, legal aid has been drastically cut in most countries. In some court systems, there are staggering backlogs. And if we think we have backlogs here in the region, he speaks of 100 million cases in Brazil, 30 million in India. Worse, according to the OECD, less than 50% of people on earth live under the protection of the law. And very spicy finish, inaccess to justice is now a global pandemic. So COVID is not the only global pandemic. Professor Susskind describes inaccess to justice as a global pandemic. What do we do about it? And he proposes or envisage is the virtual court, which is what we are now experiencing. And in the virtual court, lawyers, parties, and witnesses appear from anywhere. Evidence submitted electronically. Decisions made without oral hearings. Court users themselves filing documents, tracking cases, engaging with court officials and judges, and progressing their disputes by using intuitive, jargon-free systems. And that's where you can actually have the user accessing the court. And Professor Susskind has several books, one being Online Courts and the Future of Justice shown there. He also has one, The End of Lawyers, ? Will there be a role for lawyers in the future? One on the future of law, one on tomorrow's lawyers, an introduction to your future. So this is recommended reading, even ahead of his visit next week. And I would recommend to all our colleagues in the region to get a copy of, this is not a paid advertisement, but I think it would be useful for all of us.
Thank you very much for the riveting presentation. We do have to wrap up in a bit and go toward the panel discussion right now.
Right.
You're heading up for us. So if we can
Right.
segue to that now, it would be great.
Yes, certainly. Well, we can probably do that. I just want to make this final point here on the virtual magistracy. And here we have magical virtual magistracy is 6-week landmark. And that is again in the context of the need for collaboration. Exactly what is being done here today. ARIN, Apex, OGBA, and all institutions coming on board to make this thing happen. And in Grenada, we moved to a virtual magistracy within 6 weeks. It was an idea on August 30th, and it became a reality on October 11th. And that simply came about, one, we were able to collaborate with all the stakeholders, the police, the prisons, the AG's office, the Bar Association, to ensure that it happened as quickly as possible. Yes, COVID drove it. And we were able to reach out to our regional colleagues. I know Taney is on, from Guyana and Trinidad, to not reinvent the wheel, but to be guided by they themselves who had implemented a virtual magistracy. So probably we can take more of that in the session. I'll end here. There are some more slides, but I think it's comfortable to end here.